Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a unique challenge today. We're trying to distill the essence of, well, readiness for some of the world's highest stakes language exams. We're looking at some really focused excerpts from a source called Global Language Exam Mastery. And our mission isn't just to talk about the tests themselves, it's about the preparation. We're diving deep into the specific field of test preparation for really three powerful acronyms that can shape entire careers.
And that's the interesting part, isn't it? The material you shared, it's so deliberately focused. I mean, this isn't some general English textbook. It's a guide to achieving mastery through the prep work. So the real question for us is, why these three specific exams? Why are they grouped together? What do they share that promises this idea of mastery?
That's the heart of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. The source names three: IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC. Millions of people. I mean, they know the stress and the reward behind those letters. So let's just ask the big question right away. When it comes to preparing for these tests, what does mastery actually mean? It has to be more than just, being good at English. All right, let's start with segment one. Just identifying who we're talking about here. When the source lumps IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC together, it's basically saying something huge about their global importance.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the implicit classification. I mean, these three tests, they serve pretty different purposes, yet they're all unified by this need for, like, an advanced tactical kind of preparation. If you're a learner, you have to know which one applies to you because that's going to dictate everything.
Right.
For instance, IELTS, that's the International English Language Testing System.
That's super
It's
fair.
often the gatekeepers for universities in the UK, Australia, Canada, and for general migration, too. The focus is much more on, real-world communication. You often have a human examiner for the speaking part.
Right, and then you have TOEFL. The test of English as a foreign language, that's been the gold standard forever, especially for getting into universities in the U.S. It's very computer-based, very integrated, meaning you might have to read something, listen to a lecture, and then sort of mash them together in your answer. That alone requires a whole different set of skills to prepare for.
Exactly. And the third one in this trio, TOEIC, the Test of English for International Communication, that's the real outlier. It's all about business, professional readiness. Can you understand emails, meetings, that kind of thing? It's almost never for getting into a university.
So you have academic plus migration, and then pure business. Three distinct goals. But the source is saying the path to success, the path to mastery, is the same. It all comes down to specialized preparation. It's not a language challenge, it's a test-taking challenge.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, the source is really saying it doesn't matter if you want a PhD in the States or a promotion in Tokyo. The barrier isn't just your English, it's your ability to navigate the structure of that specific test. That's why these three, despite their differences, they stand together under this idea of mastery. The prep has to be robust enough to beat all three formats.
Which brings us perfectly to segment two, the core structural challenge. Why does the preparation itself need to be mastered? I mean, these aren't just quizzes. They are standardized tests designed with, traps and crazy time limits.
Well, when the source keeps saying test preparation, it's
Yeah.
implicitly telling you that success isn't defined by your vocabulary. It's defined by your ability to execute under pressure. Just think about the mechanical differences.
Timing.
The timing is a huge one. Take the TOEFL integrated writing. You get maybe 20 minutes to read, listen, plan, draft, and edit a response. Mastery preparation means you have a formula, an approach to outlining that information before the clock even becomes a problem. You're trying to automate the boring stuff.
That's a huge point. I remember hearing about people who are fluent, just beautiful English speakers, but they failed the IELTS writing section. Why? Because they couldn't structure an academic essay according to the rubric in 60 minutes. The prep isn't for learning English. It's for mastering a high-speed writing format.
Precisely. And then there's another structural challenge. The speaking sections, they're so different. IELTS uses a human examiner, so your prep has to include dynamic interaction skills. How to pause, how to recover from a mistake, how to expand on your answers naturally.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation. Now, contrast that with TOEFL, where you're often speaking into a microphone with a strict time limit. You have to train to get all your points into, say, 45 seconds. The prep for IELTS is about human connection. For TOEFL, it's about technological execution. The mastery has to cover both.
So this whole idea of mastery is about pattern recognition
Hmm.
and execution. It's knowing that for TOEIC listening, the answer is probably hidden in some corporate jargon or a scheduling detail. Whereas for IELTS, it might be about an academic lecture. You have to train your ear for the right context.
Which, it raises a really important question. If you have great English skills, why is this so necessary? And the answer is the traps, the distractors. All these exams are full of them. Mastery prep teaches you to spot the tricks, the misleading words, the wrong answers that look right. It just takes the element of surprise out of it.
So the big takeaway here is that success, according to this source, it all comes down to the quality of your prep, tailored for the mechanics of the test. You could be completely fluent, but if you don't master the test structure, you're just running a race without knowing where the finish line is. And that leads us right into our last segment. What does this promise of mastery actually look like? If the prep is so critical, what does it mean to master it? It can't just be about passing. It's got to be about optimizing your score.
Yeah. Interpreting that word mastery from the title is, I think, the key. It implies you can get a predictable high score every single time, no matter what little curveballs they throw at you on test day.
So we're going way beyond just doing practice tests.
Way beyond. Mastery preparation has to include at least three things: optimized timing, sophisticated pattern recognition, and a really robust performance psychology.
Okay, let's break down that optimized timing because that's what gets most people right. What does a mastery approach to timing actually look like across these three very different exams?
It means knowing exactly how long you can spend on a hard reading passage before you have to just cut your losses and move on. For example, in the IELTS reading, you have three long passages, 40 questions, 60 minutes. That's a minute and a half per question. Mastery prep involves drills where you force yourself to stop, even if you're not done. You're training your internal clock to work under pressure.
That's a powerful idea. It's forcing you to choose efficiency over perfection. You're giving up on one impossible question to make sure you have time to answer all the easy ones.
Exactly right. And think about the writing. Mastery prep gives you specific, formulaic structures for your essays. You should not be inventing a new essay structure on test day. You should walk in with pre-learned templates that you know the examiners are looking for. Mastery is when that process is so automatic, all your brain power goes into the content, not the framework.
And that must connect to the third thing you mentioned, performance psychology. If the prep is mastered, it has to reduce anxiety.
Absolutely. If you've genuinely mastered the prep, when you walk into that test room, there should be almost nothing new. You've drilled the timing, you know the templates, you've seen every common question type. That repetition, that exposure, it builds a confidence that goes way beyond just knowing the language. It builds confidence in your ability to perform.
So to summarize what we've pulled out of this source, the deep dive really confirms it. According to Global Language Exam Mastery, focused test preparation is the one thing that unifies success across IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC. It's the tactical method that turns language knowledge into a great test score. We've laid out the targets, IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC, and we've really dug into why their complexity demands this mastery approach to prep, focusing on timing, templates, and execution.
And that focus on the front-end strategy, on the preparation, it leaves us with a really profound final thought for you, the listener. If true mastery is achieved through this rigorous, tailored preparation, then your path to a high score doesn't really start with a grammar book. It starts with mastering the discipline needed to follow the strategy. So what does that look like for you? Is your first step mastering a practice schedule that you can actually stick to? Is it mastering the self-control to follow the time limits in every single drill? Or is it just recognizing that the preparation itself is the most important skill you have to learn? Think about that. What's the one tactical step you need to master first? Because according to this guide, that decision is the real beginning of the path to mastery.